French cleats are a very strong picture hanging method invented by the French sailors. A French cleat is a way of mounting or hanging a cabinet, tool holder or other objects to a wall. It is a beveled horizontal rail with a 45-degree slope. They are most often used in pairs, one cleat mounted on the wall, a so-called wall cleat, and one cleat with a matching edge mounted on the object to be hung, a so-called object cleat. When the object cleat slides into the wall cleat, it can no longer be pulled out from the wall or fall down. The only way to remove it is to lift it, hence making it the perfect modular mounting system. The great thing about this system is that once the wall cleat is mounted to the wall, it's very easy just to hang the object onto it, and just as easy to reposition it sideways. If you're using several rows of wall cleats, you can also move the object up and down. Now you know the basics of what a French cleat is, let's move on to the details on how you make it and how you install it. A French cleat can be made of many things such as wood, plastic or metal, but the most important thing is that it has a strong durable edge. Particle boards and similar materials are a big no-no. The most commonly used material is solid wood and plywood, so that is what this guide will be based on. Let's start with the wall cleats. The height needs to be at least 5 cm or 2 inches. The thickness of the cleat and the angle of the bevel decide on how much the object cleat needs to be lifted before unhooking from the wall cleat. It also decides on how much pulling force it can handle. This is rarely something you have to worry about unless you're hanging a very heavy object that protrudes far out from the wall. A minimum thickness of 12 mm or half an inch is required for small light objects, such as paintings. Use a thickness of about 15 to 80 mm for cabinets and tool holders. The angle of the bevel on the cleats can be everything from 30 to 45 degrees. I recommend 45 degrees. After ripping the cleats, the very tip of the bevel is extremely sharp and can easily cause injury. Therefore, dull the tip so much that the top has a flat surface with a width about 1 to 2 mm. The flat tip has two more huge benefits. Because the object cleat is no longer fully reaching the bottom of the wall cleat, it now acts as a wedge. When downward pressure is applied to the object cleat, it wedges itself between the wall and the wall cleat, and with that it also creates a slight resistance to an upward force, making it even more securely mounted. But I'm not done there, no. You see, in a workshop, sawdust lands everywhere, including in the wall cleat crack. If the object cleat has a sharp edge, the sawdust in the crack will prevent it from fully reaching the bottom of the wall cleat, making it a wobbly and an unsafe mount. The flat tip gives some room for a little sawdust to be in the crack without compromising the holding power. When installing the wall cleats, use long screws. Long enough so that at least half the screw reaches into the stud. The first screw should be as close to the middle as possible, but more importantly is that the screw goes into the stud behind the wall. After that you work yourself outwards and keep putting screws into each stud along the way. The distance between the studs in Europe is either 450 mm or 600 mm, depending on the width of the sheets that have been used. In the US, as always, it is a bit more complicated when it comes to measurements. It can be everything between 16 inch to 24 inch, but in more modern homes it's common to be 14.5 inch. To be sure it's a stud behind the wall, use a stud finder. The maximum distance between the screws, regardless if there is a stud behind the wall or not, should be no less than 30 cm or 1 foot. If you use high wall cleats that are above 7 cm or 3 inches, then you can use 2 screws at each point to double the weight the wall cleat can hold. If you install more than one row, then you start from the bottom and work yourself up, row by row. The free open space between the wall cleats need to be as a minimum the same height as the object cleat. So if your object cleats are 5 cm or 2 inches high, then you need to have the same distance of free space between the wall cleats. There is no maximum distance limit, it all comes down to how you want it to look. To make the installation process a breeze to handle, you can make yourself some distance blocks. use these blocks to get the same distance between all the rows. But to be sure you get each row perfectly level, you should from time to time check with the level and adjust if needed. Okay, so now you have all your wall cleats installed and need some objects to hang on it. Time to talk about tool holders and what to think about when you're making them. The object cleat has to have the same angle on the bevel and thickness as the wall cleat. There are two main types of tool holder types that can be used for most tools. I call them shelf type and arm type. On the shelf type, you simply just put your tools on, while on the arm type, you hang your tools on protruding arms. Both types can be used for most tools, and sometimes it can be very hard to classify what type of holder it is. For example, this clamp holder, is it a shelf or is it protruding arms? The easiest type to make is the shelf type. In its basic shape, it has the object cleat, a back plate, a shelf board and some support brackets. From there, you just have to think about how you want to modify it to fit your tool the best. You might have to drill some holes or cut some slots to make the tool fit securely. If you can't come up with an idea on how to fit your tool, then I suggest you search on Google Images and Pinterest to find examples of how others have done it. Making an arm type holder is way more complicated. You need to figure out where to put the arm so the tool is fully supported and hung as it should. Keep in mind that batteries might offset the balance of the tool, so before applying any glue to the holder, hang the tool in the holder with and without batteries to make sure the balance is correct. A good rule to follow is that the holder should be just as high as it is protruding from the wall. If it isn't, the holder might twist itself loose from the wall. If the back plate reaches further down than the wall cleat it hangs in, but not far enough to reach another wall cleat, then a support block on the back of the back plate might be needed to prevent it from turning over. When making tool holders, you should consider also putting tool accessories on the same holder for easy access. Adding a simple pipe or something similar to your holders is a good way to put away any power cords the tools might have. So that is all you need to know to make your own French cleats. If you learned anything new and liked this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see how I made my French cleat walls and all my tool holders I have here, you can check out these videos.